Rick, how long have you been in the industry? When did you get in?
I started in the industry in 1988, and I worked for a developer out of Boston by the name of Cabot and Forbes, and I ran several of their projects in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And then I spent the next 20 years till 2007. I spent the next 20 years till 2006 in the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan market, purely in the commercial real estate space.
Okay, so you've been in the industry for over 20 years.
Yep.
And obviously things have changed a ton, right? I mean, the internet has changed the way that a lot of agents operate their business, the way that consumers interact with us. And over those 25 years, as much as things have changed, are there still things that you see inside of the industry on a day-to-day basis that have not changed? And what would those things tell us about the industry?
You know, that's a great question because you know, the brokerage business is unique. An agent can conduct, you know, a transaction today pretty much the same way that they did 40 years ago, but that's not efficient, and but it is possible. And in the same vein, you know, I would say that you could ride a horse still from New York to San Diego, but it's probably not the preferred mode of transportation.
Right.
So, you know, certainly there are aspects of the real estate transaction that really haven't changed. And I think that the most important of those, you know, there's a lot of conversation about disintermediation of the real estate agent from the broker,
Sure.
from the industry, principal to principal being able to do business. Certainly that was a big part of the conversation back around the year 2000, before the tech bust, and, you know, when really the internet was the proliferation of technology, and the internet was really just being used in the real estate business. And
Right.
there was all kinds of conversation at that time in the commercial business about an agent being disintermediated and principals being able to do deals specifically with principals. But I think what has not changed in this business is human nature. And human nature meaning that the vast majority of buyers and sellers who are in the marketplace today are still looking for someone to help validate their decisions. And, you know, no matter how much information you're able to capture online, and there's a ton of it, and no matter how much information you're able to come to a transaction with, whether you're on the agent side, the buyer side, the seller side, there's this human nature aspect of the transaction that really hasn't changed as long as I've been in the business, and quite honestly, I don't see it changing in the foreseeable future.
So figure out your value proposition to somebody from a human side, from how can you help them take all of that information and make it useful in a decision?
Look, this is a business about differentiation, right? You know, there's so many real estate agents who are out there. What I think NAR's got 1 million real estate agents in the United States. Probably north of 400,000 of those are doing transactions on a consistent basis on a day-to-day level.
Right.
This is a heavily competitive environment, and you need to be able to differentiate. Differentiation in our business certainly comes in terms of knowledge. It comes in terms of skill. It comes in terms of understanding the hyper-local nature of our business and of a marketplace. But it also comes down to relationships. And, you know, when you talk to agents who have been in the business for quite some time, I think that you would find that the vast majority of them say that their business comes today through referrals. Right. And, you know, the referral business comes through relationships, and it comes through the ability to be able to serve a customer's need on a consistent basis at a high level, and then that information gets passed along. So I think that's...
Do you think that customer's need has changed at all? Like, have technology changed their need? Did it used to be, because it used to be, right, they needed us to find the houses. Now they don't need us to find the houses as much, right? They're out there. They can go to different places and websites and that sort of thing. Have their needs changed?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, technology has created a global economy, and where we're able to not only share photos with friends on Facebook, but we can text listing details or tweet a video to a customer's smartphone anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. Consumers have access to all kinds of data and information, including public data. They can go down to a hyper level in a marketplace. They can look at school systems. They can look at crime statistics. They can look at demographics. They can look at all of this information long before ever venturing out into a car to take a look at a piece of real estate. Completely different from when I bought my first home. I'm 53 years old, so I bought my first house back in the 80s. I'll never forget the guy driving me around in his car with a map out on the dashboard and these gigantic books of MLS listing data sheets, and having to drive around to all these homes that pulling in the driveway didn't meet my need. I could have shortened the transaction cycle considerably and saved myself a lot of time and the real estate agent a lot of time by being able to view those properties online. So that has changed significantly the way in which business is done today. The speed of the transaction cycle has changed today. Days on market will continue to reduce, provided obviously that the market remains healthy. And it's because of the ability for people to be able to access data and information and view that online. So it's changed in that regard, but here's what hasn't changed. What hasn't changed is the real estate agent's ability to be able to speak to the nuances of a particular market. The real estate agent's ability to be able to speak to the story that is behind a particular home for sale, or a street in a neighborhood, or a community, or the planning that's going on within the town, the things that are to come. And people, consumers who are looking to purchase in certain markets don't take a lot of that information into account, and they aren't thinking about those things. So
Yeah.
the ability for a real estate agent to be able to articulate the things that are very specific to the local market will continue to differentiate them and allow them to remain relevant in the transaction.